Hey, everybody, welcome to Get Off My Lawn. I'm your host, Rick Garrett in Indianapolis, Indiana, along with my good friend Trent May. Good morning, Trent.
Good morning.
And Mahmood. Good morning, Mahmood.
Morning, guys.
And I did not want to butcher your last name, so I'm just going to call you Mahmood. How about that?
You got it. Right
If
on the
you're
money.
if you're tuning in for the first time, this is a Monday morning talk show. Three guys, three different generations, three different backgrounds, talking about life. And this week's topic is going to be me time. How you recognize when it's time to take some me time, how you recognize when you just kind of need a break, whether it's something very quickly or something more lengthy, like a little bit of a vacation. Like Mahmood just got back from a camping trip in the wilds of Indiana. And believe it or not, we do have wilds here in Indiana. Mahmood, how was your trip?
Oh, it was awesome. Just came back yesterday afternoon, spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then took off Sunday. No service. It's this campground by Waveland, Indiana, called Clements. Great place. River, tent camping. It was just the perfect opportunity to hit the reset button.
Good. Well, let's just kind of dive right into things. Mahmood, how did you know you needed to kind of hit that reset button? Was there an event or a series of events that made you think about that?
Well, yeah. First of all, I have a really active family. They're all about doing things and going on trips and adventures and stuff. That's number one. So that kind of encouraged me to jump on. We do a yearly hunting trip. We do a yearly camping trip. Now we're adding a yearly camping trip for the kids, like a kids version, where we take all of our children and we camp together. So that helped a lot, like having a family that's all into that. The second thing is I make a living staring at screens, so I need some time during the year, like different times, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, where I'm just unplugged, no service, no screens, and that helps me. Like I feel really refreshed right now.
Good. So let me ask you a question. When you take off like that for several days and you're not connected, because your job largely involves social media, right? Helping companies stay connected.
Right? Yeah, digital marketing. Yeah.
Does it take you a little bit to get out of that mindset of, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to be connected, I've got to accomplish this? Does it take you some time to adjust to just downtime?
Yep, absolutely. So I got there Thursday, and then Friday morning I had to drive up the hill to take care of some business and come back. So before breakfast, just run up the hill like a mile up until I get some service, and then had like a little 5-minute meeting with the team, and got that peace of mind, and then came back down. So that's the first day. I didn't do it after that. I just stayed off. But yeah, it definitely it takes you a while. Like the first day is a little rough. You're like, oh, what's going on? Are there any fires I need to put out? And you're looking at your phone. There's nothing. It's not giving you anything. No, you're like, what's going on? But then once you like the first day is done, like after that you're fine. Especially that it was Friday. So
Did you say Wavelands?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm taking notes over here because the thought of like no cell service is like amazing to me. Like I see like in the next 10 years, I could see places that have no cell service become more expensive than like Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like the sheer joy and thrill of going to a place where I can't get a text message or a phone call is exhilarating to me. Like I would like right now, I would probably pay more money to go to Waveland than like to go to a beach in Florida.
Hey, I'll give you the coordinates, and
I would love that. I want to go.
You can take the family. It's a really nice campground. Not like too huge. You can pick whether you want to do the RV thing or the cabin thing or the tent camping. Our rule, like our group, the rules are: if you're not senior, you're tent camping. If you're a senior, you're allowed to pitch a tent behind the truck bed or bring a trailer or whatever you want. But if you're not over 65, you're tent camping.
Oh, good. Then I can use a camper if I ever. So Trent, how about you? You also have kind of a job that involves being connected all the time and can be very stressful. How do you know when it's time for you to reset?
I can tell you one time I knew. I was driving home from one of the activities in between work, and kids have a very, very full dance schedule because of where they dance. And my other daughter's big into gymnastics. And, because of these, we're never really not working.
Right.
I've returned emails in between reps at the gym before, like we're never really not working. And so I was driving home from one of those, and my Pandora had the audacity of playing Nickelback, even though I've thumbs down like 10 Nickelback songs. And I literally out loud yelled at Pandora. And I was just like, I might need a break.
It's time.
That's
also,
great.
too, like I will also get to the point. I don't know if you guys can ever feel like your blood pressure increase. I get to the point where like every time I get a text message, just a text message, and I get this is no one else's fault. This is 100% on me, and I get that. It's my own hang up. But I'll get to the point where if I get a text message, I can feel my blood pressure increasing.
I can absolutely relate to that. And you mentioned yelling at Pandora. I love that story. And for me, that's one of the things that I realize when I need a break is that I get cranky. Sometimes with inanimate objects. And I'm a pretty easygoing, a pretty jovial guy, and I love being that way. But when I find myself being short with people, and often it's with sadly people that I love the most, I know that it's time for me to take a break and just kind of step away from everything and reset a little bit. So let's talk for just a couple of minutes about ways that you can reset throughout the day, because I have found that it really helps me to reset sometimes multiple times throughout the day, not necessarily talking about vacation. We'll talk about that in a bit, but these little things that we can do to just take a few minutes and reset. One of the things that my wife and I enjoy doing is walking around our neighborhood. Sometimes at lunch, we'll eat a quick lunch. She works from home, and we'll just go for a 20-minute walk around the neighborhood. And that does great things for our mental state. We're unplugged, we're away from everything, we're just enjoying, seeing the neighbors and the dogs and getting some exercise. So that's one of those really quick things that is really effective for me. How about Mahmoud? How about you? Can you think of any quick reset things that is special to you?
Yep. Well, I'm fortunate enough to have a trail right in my backyard. So, like walking the dog is one of those. Like you just the zip to the backyard and you find yourself in a really nice area with like water, like a creek and everything. So walking the dog is one, going for a run is another one. Going on a bicycle ride with the kids, that also helps. But for me, the long breaks are the ones that make those are helpful, like just going walking the dog, whatever. But 3-4 times, or 2 or 3 times a year, I need like a big break, like 3 days, 2 days, maybe like an extended weekend, because that's when the patterns break. Every day is kind of similar. So my days are like 90 to 95% similar. I'm doing the exact same thing every day. So for me, it's breaking that pattern. And it takes me about 72 hours to do that.
I love your point about the long breaks. I think that's so key, is the plural of what you said. Because I think in corporate America, it's become this thing where you work like a dog all day and then you get a week off. And people expect you to be completely refreshed after that 1 week off. And it's like, you don't undo an entire 51 weeks in one, because it probably took you like 4 days to just get the knots out of the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. And the generation I grew up in was very much like that. You worked like a dog, 51 weeks out of the year, and then you took a week off. That was kind of the way that our family did. And, my dad was stressed all the time, and he never really even relaxed during that week. So that's a really good point. Trent, real quickly, how about those quick break things? Is there something that works for you?
What I've started doing is we're right by the park. So about every hour to an hour and a half, I'll just go out for 5 minutes and I'll take a quick 5 minute walk. And then it's just some fresh air. It's some time where I'm standing up and not hunched over at the desk, and time I can get away for a little bit.
I think those multiple resets during the day just for 5 or 10 minutes are really, really important, especially if you're in a job that's mentally taxing or physically taxing, and all of our jobs are like that in some way. So we talked about getting outside.
And if I can real quick,
yes.
put over Savannah, last week on Savannah on the Spot, she had some great tips for stress, and I would definitely use her. If you're watching this, look up Savannah Shaltry from Own Your Day. She is a great resource at helping you reduce stress throughout the day.
Very good. And, while we're mentioning that, if you're not following the Business Shenanigans channel here on YouTube or Facebook, be sure and do that. Lots of great shows, lots of great life tips. Some are lighthearted. I love the one a couple of weeks ago where they tried out the new hot sauce. That was an amazing episode. Some are funny, some are much more serious, but, it's all free to view. Great chance to improve your day. So we were talking about those little those little daily things. Another thing sometimes I like to do if the weather is bad outside is just play a silly game. That one of those mindless matching games like Bejeweled or Candy Crush or something like that. That's a great reset for me, and I'm glad that those are around because it may not work for everybody, but it may work. But it works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that. Just to give you an example, like the activities that we do while we're camping, they all remind me of stuff that we've done when we were 6 or 10, or just running around, hiking, getting into the water, fishing, whittling. We do a lot of whittling. Like every year we have like a challenge.
That is awesome.
Yeah, this year we made we took a tree and we cut different sections of it. Some of them were turned into. You guys know what a Swedish oven is?
No.
Is
that something we're allowed to talk about on here?
Yes, yes, it is. It's PG-13 for sure.
All right.
It's a log that you cut, and you take an auger and you put a hole a hole this way and a hole this way, and they connect. And you've got yourself a little oven. So if you light a fire, air takes care of everything. And it just becomes like a little torch, basically. So we made those. We whittled like a hammer, like a wooden hammer from that log. We make like different things. So the activities are compared to what you used to do when you were 10, or like Boy Scout stuff. And that's what kind of takes your mind off of, that is kind of therapeutic when you're working on something like that. Just out by the water, all you can hear is just water and birds and bugs and stuff, and you're just working on something.
That is fascinating.
Rick, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
You've had a very unique experience from the two of us. I mean, there was a time where, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I mean, you were an entertainer.
Yes.
You pretty much had to either swim or sink. You had to get yourself out there. You had to come up with material. You had to tour. You had to survive with a road budget, hotel, motel budgets. So you were in make or break it mode, I'm sure, for years.
Yes, absolutely.
And then also overworked because of it for years. So did you have a point where you were like, I feel like I'm drowning, and then what did you do to overcome that?
Gosh, that's a great question. And after 45 years of doing that, I've largely pulled back from being on the road. But you're absolutely right. It was, I got a light messing up here. It was absolutely sink or swim, and working every waking moment in some source, either promoting or booking or performing or driving. So. Unfortunately, I think being really open and transparent for you guys and our listeners, I think my mental health actually suffered because of that, because I did not allow myself to take breaks. I didn't allow myself to kind of let some things go. 2020 was a really interesting year for everybody, no matter what industry you may have been working in. But for me, it really gave me a chance to reset and pull back and think about what's important. And I had got caught up in this whole mindset that so many people get caught up in, of that being busy equals being successful. And we talked about that just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Mahmood that brought up a quote. Do you remember that quote, Mahmood?
Yeah, the Denzel Washington one.
Yes.
Don't confuse movement with progress.
Don't. What an amazing quote! I love that. Don't confuse movement with progress. And I was kind of basing my life on movement, not on progress.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a traumatic event. I'm going to call the coronavirus pandemic a traumatic event, because all of our lives changed dramatically. The way we do business changed. I could no longer go out and do the things that I love to do because the venues were all shuttered for a number of months. And it gave me a chance to realize what was really, really important to me. And it's turned out that being busy really is not what was important to me. I wish it had not taken me 65 years to learn that. But, thank the good Lord, I'm still here to know that. I'm not sure if that even comes close to answering your question, because I tend to ramble on a little bit.
That was a great answer. Thank you for that honesty and that feedback.
I think traumatic experiences, whether it's the loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, a house burns down, it's hard to frame that stuff in a positive light. But they really can be the ultimate chance for us to reset, step back, look at our life, and decide what really is important.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well said.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Or as Elvis would say, thank you very much. So we talked about taking these little short breaks during the day, riding a bike or taking the dog for a walk. Our next door neighbor has a wonderful dog, and sometimes I'll just see her out in the yard and take a break and go play with the neighbor's dog. That's a great reset for me. How about those longer resets? What kind of things come up in your life that make you realize you may need a little bit of a longer reset? Mahmood, does anything strike you?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm stuck here with sharing my screen. I was just playing with the share screen feature. Can you repeat that? Can you say that again?
Okay. So what makes you realize when you need to do a little bit of a longer reset, more than walking around the block?
Well, when I'm like getting antsy and I can't get my focus, when I start to get distracted and stuff, that's when it's time to get up and take a walk or something, and take that 10, 15 minutes and then come back. Usually, when I start to get distracted, I'm not on task.
Right. What about you, Trent?
I would say I'm usually 95% of the time a very easygoing person. If I start to notice, and I think the hardest thing is noticing it in yourself.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. If I start to get to the point where all the little things start agitating me, because that's not like me at all. If that starts to happen, I know it's time for a longer sabbatical some way, somehow. And usually I have to create that for myself. It's not practical. So I have to kind of find ways to make that happen.
That brings up a really interesting point. Um, Oftentimes, don't you guys think we are the last ones to see what we need the most, that those around us see it more quicker? That's not proper English. More quickly than we do. Mahmood, do you agree with that?
You were breaking up. Can you say that again?
Oh, sure. So I think sometimes we are often the last ones to see what we ourselves need the most. Often it's those around us that see it beforehand. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When my wife catches one of my like being snippy or being like, yeah, I think sometimes the environment around you picks up on your behavior and mood before you do. Sometimes you're just in the zone, you don't know what you're doing, and if you start to get stressed out or whatever, you're obviously like your environment is going to know before you do, for the most part.
Right.
But you gotta know yourself too. Like you gotta pick up on those red flags.
Right. Trent, how about you? Would you agree with that statement that others around us recognize what we need sometimes before we do?
Yeah, and I think Mahmood made a good point about being in it, and just not really. You kind of have that tunnel vision,
Right.
and I think guys, at least the good ones, are kind of like laboratory retrievers. My lab is like 11 or 12 years old. He's really getting up there in lab and dog years. Got a lot of gray, starting to get some stiffness, not moving around like he used to, but he will follow us around and he will put in work. If we go down and do laundry, he goes down and does laundry. He follows us all over that house, and he will absolutely, I think, keep fighting until his last breath. And I think that's how a lot of guys are too. It's just we feel this, at least the good ones. There's a lot of crap ones out there, but we feel this responsibility to keep pushing and to keep fighting for those around us until we absolutely can't anymore.
Right. Good points. Hey, I want to hit on a term that has really hit home with me, how much I do not like this term, and I would love your input on this. I have grown to abhor the term working vacation. And I hear it all the time where people are going to a conference or they're doing something and they say, well, I'm taking a working vacation. And I have never been able to make that successfully work. How about you guys, Mahmood?
What, like when they say working vacation, like do they mean like going on vacation but still working?
Well, sometimes, there's a lot of people that will say, for example, are going to a week-long conference and they'll extend their stay another day, to sightsee or whatever, and say I'm going on a working vacation. That never gave me enough time to reset. What do you guys think about working vacations?
I don't think it hurts. Like so an example, let's say you're going to do some training in Vegas or something, and then after the training's done, you extend your stay a little bit to have a little fun. Is that what you meant, Rick?
Yeah, I guess so. When I was
like mixing business and pleasure.
Yeah. So, I guess from my personal experience as an entertainer, we would take, sometimes we'd be out on the road for several days in a row, and we would perform one day and then maybe have a free day and then perform the next day. But my problem was that I never got to reset because I was always thinking about that next performance, that next job. So, if we played on Monday and had Tuesday off, but had to be in another town on Wednesday, I would call that a working vacation. But the thing is, I was always in the mindset of the next gig, the next job, the next thing that I had to do. And I had a really hard time resetting from that.
I don't think it can be the only thing.
Right.
It can't be your only getaway that year. So, here's the deal with the whole workcation. Let's say you go to Florida for a week and you take the laptop and the cell phone with you. Some jobs, I know, like, this is going to sound really mean, really insensitive, but they don't give a crap about your well-being. They want your cell phone on your business card because they want their clients to be able to reach you at all times. A lot of corporations are doing that now. Their managers, their employees have their cell phones on their business cards. They are never not working. It can be on scheduled time off. Crap, you're working anyway. If you get an email or a phone call, you're supposed to respond to it. So I don't know. The whole workcation thing is kind of BS to me, because to me it's work.
Absolutely. It's just a change of scenery, but you're still working.
Yeah. So let's say you are able to take a couple days and just completely, disconnect from that or whatever, or not. Let's say you plan on working throughout the day and taking the night off. How's that any different from home if you're working during the day at home and taking the night off at home? Not only that, but let's say you stay 2 extra days. Now you have the added stresses of having a place to stay those 2 days, paying for it, and now traveling home, being jet lagged when you get home, and starting the work week back over. So yeah, the whole idea of a workation's BS to me.
For me, it kind of works sometimes at different scales. Obviously, I have to stop myself because I can work literally from anywhere that has internet. Every spot that has internet can be an office. So for me, it's all about breaking patterns, whether at bigger scale or smaller scale. I just did the big scale this weekend, like breaking the patterns at a bigger scale, like 72 hours. But last year, I also went to Vegas and did some training. And I stayed, I think, a couple more days, not because I wanted to, but just airline problems. I think I stayed like an extra 48 hours. And I got a lot of stuff done because I already had the fun part done, the education part done, and I had an extra 2 days. And I got a lot of stuff done those 2 days because I was working from a hotel room, not in my office. It was a broken pattern. So whether at a small scale or a big scale, breaking pattern is something that I believe in. Like sometimes we would do a live, but I wouldn't be in my office. I would be in the couch here, upstairs. Yeah, it's all about breaking patterns, especially when you're there doing all day.
I think that's a really good observation, and I think we all need to be aware of patterns that when we need to break the pattern. And that's a really difficult thing for me because I'm kind of a creature of habit. I like to eat the same thing for breakfast. I like to eat the same thing for lunch. I like everything set on a schedule when I'm at home. And sometimes I don't want to use the word temptation, but sometimes we do things not because it's the best thing to do, but because it's just what we're used to doing. It's the pattern we have set for myself. That especially applies in, for example, areas of nutrition. We eat the same thing because we're used to eating the same thing, whether it's healthy for us or not. We stop and grab a hamburger because it's convenient, not necessarily because it's the best thing for us. Wow, this discussion took a turn.
Well, if I can add one thing, you mentioned nutrition. To me, one of the greatest de-stressors in the world, and the more complex, the better, is actually cooking dinner at the end of a long day. There is something absolutely amazing and therapeutic about, I'm not talking about Prego and noodles here. I'm talking about actually like cooking a dinner after a very long day. There's something amazing about just making a meal.
That's a great point. And my wife has mentioned that several times. She is an absolute wizard in the kitchen. She is just an incredibly inventive cook. And she works in the financial world also, Trent. I don't know if you were aware of that or not. So, that's a really interesting observation. It allows her, something like that. So if you work in a world that's very analytical, like finance, the chance to exercise your creative side, do something completely different is a great reset, right?
Oh yeah, and what's funny about that is like I can't paint a room. I can barely draw a stick figure, but I can cook a meal.
Creativity comes in so many different forms, whether it's cooking or music or art or knitting or crocheting or any one of 100 different things. A great way, I think, to break the cycle that we were talking about, a great way to kind of reset is to take a chance and try something completely different that we've never done before. Whether it may be cooking a meal, it may be trying knitting, it may be trying stamp collecting, something that is just completely foreign to us can be a great way to reset. And as I've got older, I've realized how important it is to try new things to keep our brain fresh and engaged and functioning. I think that's really, really important. And when you try something new, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen is you can say, boy, this just isn't for me. I don't really enjoy this, and it's not much of a loss. So anyway, wow. So great discussion this morning, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Mahmoud, I'm glad you had such a fantastic trip.
Thank you. Oh, I wanted to show you that picture. Hold on.
Oh, sure.
I think it's called a Swedish stove.
Okay, I've got to look that up because I've heard of a Dutch oven, but I've never heard of a Swedish stove.
See, the log is just
very cool.
on fire, and they've got some water boiling there, and just 3 rocks at the bottom just to hold the thing here.
I want to go to Waveland and I want to make some hobo coffee, like in the tin cups. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Oh, we also made this turkey.
Ooh, that looks fantastic.
It's called garbage can turkey, where you burn a garbage can, like a new one, obviously, and then you put it over that turkey, and you just put coals around it, coals on top, and it just cooks the whole thing. Surround cooking.
That sounds amazing.
We need to do a whole episode just on Mahmoud in the wilderness.
And I saw a bald eagle like twice.
That's
like
it.
He just went back and forth, like he's just hanging out with us basically.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
We're working on a video collage of all this stuff. I'll share it with you guys once it's ready.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this week we've talked about kind of taking a break, taking a reset, some highlights that I'm thinking of. Y'all throw some in, but when we get cranky, when we get stressed, we know that we need to take a little bit of a reset. Sometimes we need to take a longer reset and take a week-long road trip or take a real vacation. Sometimes we just need to walk around the block or play with a dog or play some kind of mindless game. I think it's important, and I think you guys would agree. I think it's important that we practice resetting probably several times a day. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're working an 8-hour stretch, you got to break. Well, the rule of thumb is 2 hours. Every 2 hours, you have to get up and walk at least. You know how they say sitting is the new smoking,
right?
So yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. Like every 2 hours, get up and do something, and walk or stretch or touch your toes or something.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for joining me this morning. This has been fantastic.
Oh, it was fun.
And thank everybody that watched on YouTube or on the Facebook there. And we do this every Monday morning. Now, I will not be around next Monday because I'm taking one of those resets.
Heck yeah.
My wife and I are headed down to Metamora, Indiana, if anybody's heard of Metamora. We're taking our bicycles down. We're going to do some bicycling. We're going to do some hiking. We're going to visit with some friends, and we'll be down there about 5 days, I think. So really looking forward to that.
Nice.
Trent, you have anything to close us out with? Anything, last thoughts you want to share?
Just if you like seeing 3 guys sitting around getting cranky and put a little perspective on it, check us out on Mondays. Rick, I hope you really enjoy your reset.
Oh, I can't wait. You guys both follow me on Twitter, I know, and on Facebook, so there will be lots of pictures coming through. Mahmoud, how about you? What you got for us?
I just have the picture that I was talking about with Denzel Washington. I didn't know how to share it, so I just shared it to the messenger. Trent, if you want to throw it in there so everyone can see it.
Yeah, we'll get that in there in the comments.
Yep, perfect.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a great show next week.
Thanks, Rick. We'll miss you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So for Get Off My Lawn with Trent May and my good friend, the Moroccan superhero, we need to get you a theme song.
At least a cape.
My cape, please.
Okay.
My cape.
2 weeks from today, when I'm back in town, I want to see you in a cape. That's your assignment. I want to see you in a cape.
I think my kids have a couple of capes. I can borrow one.
Who's getting fancy on us?
That's awesome. All right, guys, have a great week. Don't forget to reset, everybody, and thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.